I'm kind of redoing this because the first video that I made on this topic, I was kind of beside myself. I kind of let the emotions get the better of me, and I wasn't talking as clearly and getting everything out as clearly as I wanted to. So I'm kind of remaking this and try to keep it under 10 minutes because I do want to upload this to TikTok. But sad news, unfortunately. As of right now, it's the 21st. It's 12 o'clock on the 21st, and this is news that we received on the 19th, actually. TMZ reported it on the 20th, but it happened on the 19th that the Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver, Jason David Frank, died on November 19th. And, for a lot of people who are Power Rangers fans, including myself, this is like a devastating blow to our childhood and our inner child because, you know, for people who didn't watch Power Rangers growing up, this guy was the standard and the reason why some of us wanted to get into martial arts or tried a roundhouse kick outside or went outside back when, people were still going outside, when kids were still going outside having fun. Back when we were kids, we used to play Power Rangers outside, act like we beating up the putties and, you know what I'm saying, doing roundhouse kicks and all that, doing all the movements, you know what I'm saying, we need Ranger, you know what I'm saying, oh, look, man, I remember everything, but Tommy was one of those characters that was, for at the time, Jason, well, the character Jason, who was Austin St. John, he, he was the red Tyrannosaurus Ranger, and he took the role of the leader. And, Tommy came in as this as the villain. He was kind of just abducted out of the middle of nowhere. If I remember correctly, in the episode, he was just walking down like an alleyway going home or to school or wherever he was going, and Rita just abducted him and gave him the Green Ranger powers. And it was at that moment, he was giving everybody the cold shoulder. He wasn't the friendly Tommy that everybody knew. And eventually it was revealed that he was the Green Ranger. And, they had their big battle. And Jason ends up destroying the green power sword, which was controlling his mind. And eventually Tommy became one of the good guys. And over the years, he became, the after the Green Ranger powers died out because they were still connected to Rita and the evil. He ended up becoming the White Ranger, the White Tiger Ranger, as well as which was based off of Gosei Sentai Die Ranger. That adaptation. He became the White Ranger, and then eventually he became Zeo Red, and then he was the first Turbo Ranger before they passed the torch on to the other members who would go on to be, who TJ would be the leader after him, the new Red Turbo. But then a few years later, during Dino Thunder, he came back as a mentor and as the Black Brachio Ranger. So, and not to mention all the fan projects that he did in between. I think there was like a death battle between the Green Ranger or the White Ranger and like Ryu. No, it was the Green Ranger and Ryu, and then they did another one with the White Ranger and like I think like Scorpion or something like that. That was cool. And I think the last movie he was working on was like funded by Kickstarter. It was the Legend of the White Dragon. Legend of the White Dragon. I don't know. I think he was finished filming it, and I think they were doing like the little edits or whatever. And the movie was scheduled to be released next year. So I don't know if he had any final touches that he wanted to do on it, but dude, this is like the second Power Ranger from our childhood that passed away. The first one was Tai Trang, who was Trini, the Yellow Saber-Tooth Ranger. And you know what I mean? It's one of those moments that, when you were too young to understand. We're all older now. We've been following the Power Rangers careers, seeing where are they now. Because, when somebody was a part of you growing up, you want to check and see how they are. You know what I'm saying? Later on down the line, are they still doing well? Did they have kids? Are they living good? Are they happy? Or the life after fame or whatever they're doing now? Did they get out of the limelight? Are they chilling? Are they in the new projects? Because you still want to support them. And the countless conventions that this guy went to, the the merchandise surrounding this guy. Um, if no other Power Ranger could make money off of conventions and the Power Ranger brand that the legacy that he left behind, if no other Power Ranger was able to make money at conventions, he would be able to, because he had that much popularity. He was by far the most legendary Ranger out of all of them, because he's had the most appearances. He's been the most relevant. The other ones, not downplaying them or disrespecting them whatsoever. They go to conventions, they sell their 8x10s, or they may have other projects that they're a part of. Maybe they're doing another cameo appearance in like the later seasons or the current season of Power Rangers or things like that. Uh, but Tommy, he kept himself in that space of Power Rangers because he understood this is where he made a name for himself, and this is where it kickstarted his whole career. And I believe at one point when he first got started, I think there was a part of like an actors guild. Don't quote me on that, but I think they were a part of like an actors guild, and they didn't get paid for like the first few seasons. Hence the reason why I believe Walter Jones, Ty Trang, and Austin St. John had left. Quote me, don't quote me on that, but this was the rumor that I heard growing up over the years that they ended up left, and then of course Rocky, Aisha, and Adam took over as the red, yellow, and black Rangers after those three left. Because they had the Sword of Light, they had to go get it. They ended up Walter, Zach, Trini, and Jason. They had the peace conference that they went to. In Story, and powers got transferred over to Aisha, Rocky, and Adam. So that and that kind of kicked off the second season. And seeing him throughout the years, whether it be making cameo appearances in the 2017 Power Rangers movie, at any convention that he may have been at that I never had a chance to get to, the countless smiles he put on people's faces. I mean, if you go to YouTube, shout out to the Andy Lander show. You guys see his name right there. I gotta give him credit because he posted this. He uploaded a video. I don't know if this was from Facebook or if this was from his own streaming services on his website or whatever, but he ended up posting a video 25 minutes where he was talking about the conventions he was going to, the his daughter, his mother, who he seen three days before cancer took her life. His brother was actually in Power Rangers. Just he did like one episode. And while Tommy was kind of going on like a spiritual journey or something like that, it was that episode. And his brother actually passed away. I think sometime after that. But so that probably was weighing on him. And then I think one of the biggest things that kind of hit him, and you even can tell through the video that he was really affected by his recent divorce, which happened back in June, which he references in this video, by the way. If anybody cares to watch this, I'll leave the link to this man's video in the description. I could barely watch all of it. I think I stopped the video like 3 times because the way he was talking, you could tell something was bothering him. But he was trying to stay positive throughout the entire video and focus on meeting the fans and trying to make sure that you guys had the experience of a lifetime. I think he was doing like a bunch of GameStop tours, and going to a few conventions in between then, and just to meet you guys, he's always been dedicated to his fans. Let's be honest here. Like that's been Jason David Frank. Uh, that's been his mo. Make sure that the fans have fun. And he never was one to shy away from what he knew made him famous. Even though he officially retired, a few times as a time or two as a ranger. He wanted to take his career in more of a serious direction, which Legend of the White Dragon ended up becoming. It's supposed to be more of like a mature ranger movie, but but yeah, with watching this video, you could tell something was bothering him. I don't know if it was the divorce or whatever it was, but something was bothering him. And this video at the time Jason recorded this. This was 25 minutes before he took his own life, unfortunately. And as I said in my previous video, I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that an autopsy is done and maybe he tripped and fell and hit his head, because I'll be more comfortable with knowing that happened rather than him taking his own life. You know what I mean? Because that sucks. You know, I know it sounds like a cliche when people say this, but suicide isn't the answer. You're talking to somebody who has survived a couple suicide attempts. And you have to understand that when you've had an impact on so many people's lives, your life isn't your own anymore. And I'm not saying that like, oh, anybody, you're not owned by anybody, but you have to understand by how many lives you touched and how many days you brightened, and you kind of have to use that as a motivation to keep you going, because in you doing that, you find reason to keep going, or at least that's how it worked for me. Other people have their own methods, but you realize that you're still worth something and that your life still means something here. Because this sucks. Seeing this sucks. As a avid Ranger fan, you guys know on this page I do plenty of Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider content on my TikTok. You guys know, and I've never shied away from the fact that I was a fan of that, even when it wasn't cool to be a Power Rangers fan because people were getting older. Most of us kept our Power Ranger swords, our morphers, our deluxe, morphin toys, the ones that had the flipping heads on it. If you know about them, you know about them. We kept held on to our morphers, our deluxe Megazords, everything. You know what I mean? Because we were fans of that time and what that time represented to us growing up. The never give up, teamwork, all this thing, even though we look at it as them just jumping the villain, which, good guys jumping the bad guys. But no, it's like they taught us lessons that we still, keep with us, and that we still keep with us. And to see somebody like Jason David Frank gone from this world at a time that he's when he still had so much left. You know what I mean? Like the Legend of the White Dragon movie, and there's no telling. They still wanted to do something with him with as Lord Draken. You know what I mean? So, in the Shattered Grid storyline, you had the Boom Studio Comics that was still using, what I'm saying, his likeness and still getting that story told. No matter, and Power Rangers got the 30th anniversary coming up. I'm pretty sure they would want him. They would have wanted him to do something with that. But the crazy thing about people who are dedicated to others like that is that sometimes we take them for granted, and we don't try to understand what they may be going through or if they're going through something, because they always seem like they're in a cheery mood. But once you get older, you start peeping certain things. You notice that something's bothering them, and I can honestly say every time I seen Jason David Frank, I got excited because this is one of my childhood heroes growing up, and that never changed. He never did anything in media to shame himself. He never did anything in media to make anybody question why they liked him, or made anybody ashamed that they were a fan of Power Rangers growing up. Like, he never did anything bad. You know what I mean? Like, I can't recall not one time that it was like a negative press about this guy. Him and Austin St. John, they weren't the best of friends, obviously, but that was the extent of it. But we knew that as kids, that they had their little grievances. You know, but even Austin St. John was able to put out a message of, positive energy towards the passing of, you know, Jason David Frank. So that already speaks volumes to how much this man meant to the Power Ranger fandom, the people that he worked with, the friends that he had, all the fans around the world who knew his work, whether it be the other movies that he did, because he did a couple romantic films, as well as, all his work as Power Rangers, of course, in Power Rangers. The work he did in Dino Thunder was great, kind of passing that torch, being one of the original, the first Sixth Ranger, the first guy who was an evil guy to turn good, and he kind of passed that particular mantle on to Trent, who was the White Drago Ranger from Dino Thunder, as well as just passing the legacy of Power Rangers on to the rest of the Dino Thunder team, and not to mention his Master Morpher that he used in Ninja Steel. Anytime you seen Tommy, it was a smile on. It put a smile on your face, man. So to see this happen to him, it's a very sad situation. I was knowing that I was looking forward to whatever this guy had coming up. I don't check up on all the Rangers all the time. I checked up on what he was doing more so than the other ones, because he was more so in the limelight. So I mean, I can't really say what would make him do this. I mean, obviously I don't know him personally, but like I said, in this video, which was supposed to be 25 minutes before he unfortunately took his own life, um, you know, he kind of hinted at the divorce he had. He didn't say anything about it, but you can tell something was on his mind, and he just kept mentioning, you know, he was going through it, and I know plenty of guys who, and I know some people say that as like a broad term or like a broad saying. They know plenty of people, but no, I know a good few guys who got divorced and they went down a rabbit hole of just depression, because it's like you spend all your life, you spend an exceptional amount of time with a person. In this case, a man being with a woman, you spend a good amount of time with that woman, and then for whatever reason y'all get divorced, and it's like, man, it sucks, because you still love the woman, but that woman might not want nothing else to do with you, or whatever the case might be. So it puts a man through a stage of depression, especially when you love that woman with all your heart. So I don't know what caused them to divorce. I don't want to speculate, but it did happen, and you can tell it affected him in a bad way. So, I don't know if that was the reason, or maybe everything else was just weighing on him and he just felt like he couldn't take it. But, suicide is never the answer. It's said that it is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It's just a down point. Depression is just a down point. It's not the end point, and it's not the point. It's just a point that's just temporary, and you go up from there. You know what I mean? So I do want to say, rest in peace, Jason David Frank. It sucks that you went out like this, man, because I felt like your story should have been told a million times better than this. But I will say, as Ranger fans, we're gonna miss you. You know, I know your family's gonna miss you. But in the words of Austin St. John, once a Ranger, always a Ranger.